Hey guys, it's Gwen. So as most of you guys know, 2015 is almost over, which is so crazy to think about. This year has been quite the year for many bands and other musical artists. It has also been a very important year for me musically, in the sense that I just found so many new artists and just completely changed my music style and my music tastes. I fell in love with so many new bands and artists, and I'm so grateful that I found these artists and these bands because I found so much new music this year, and I could not be happier. So today, I'm going to tell you guys my top 4 favorite albums of 2015. These are all albums that were specifically released this year that I just totally fell in love with. So let's get started. Number 4 for me is Future Hearts by All Time Low. This album was released April 3rd, 2015, and I didn't actually start listening to it around, I would say sometime in the summer, I think like July, August, and I really fell in love with it very soon. This album is a perfect representation of All Time Low. It's just, you can totally tell it's them, and it's such a great album. It's very easy to listen to. There are a lot of singles on this album that became really big in a really short period of time, and there's a lot of just really good jams on this album. This album takes you through a wider range of emotions. There's a bunch of really sad, really heartfelt songs on it, and then there's a bunch of really awesome jam songs that are perfect for dance parties. And somehow all those songs are put into this one album, and just, it really works. They made it so that the order of the songs really go together, and that's one of the things I really love about this album. There's just a type of song for everyone on this album, and honestly, if you were into bands and just simple pop punk, this is the album for you. It's very simple, and the lyrics to a lot of these songs are very, very meaningful, and I really, really love it. Personally, for me, this is my favorite album they've put out so far because it helped me get really into them, and it's the first album that I ever heard by them, and there's just so many good songs on it. I love it so much. My favorite songs from this album would probably have to be Something's Gotta Give, Missing You, which is such a heartfelt song. Like, if you listen to the true lyrics behind Missing You, it's really, really powerful. I also love Satellite and Kids in the Dark. Number 3 on my favorite albums of 2015 is Life's Not Out to Get You by Neck Deep. This album was released August 14th, 2015, so fairly recently if you think about it, and this album is really, really great. I started listening to this album literally 2 weeks ago, and it made it on my top 4 favorite albums of the year. Like, that's how good it is. It's an album that I feel like is very easy to fall in love with. This is the first album I had ever heard by Neck Deep, and I really fell in love with it. It's definitely an album that is full of mostly jams and just simple, very easy to listen to party songs, which I really like. There's only a few slower ballads on this album, but the ones that are on this album are really, really good. This album is definitely a bit different from the other albums that Neck Deep has put out. I feel like it's a little softer and a little more very easy to listen to pop punk versus some of their older albums, which are a bit edgier. So if you're into All Time Low or just very simple pop punk style, this is definitely a good album to check out. My all-time favorite song from this album is Can't Kick Up the Roots. I love that song. It's such a jam, and it's just so fun to sing along to. I also really like the song Rock Bottom, and my favorite ballad from this album would have to be December. It's a really beautiful song, and the lyrics are so meaningful. And I just, oh my god, it's just the feels, the feels. I just love it. And the lead singer's voice is so crystal clear in that song, and it is so beautiful. My second favorite album from 2015 would have to be Badlands by Halsey, specifically the deluxe version because it has more songs by her, and I love her so much. This album was released August 28th, 2015, which is the latest out of all the albums that I'm talking about today. And I feel like a lot of people didn't really know who Halsey was or didn't really know anything about her until this album came out, and then it sparked the nation, and everyone was like, whoa, who is this girl? She has an amazing voice, and these songs are so raw and so the effects and the soundboard and the synths that she puts in is it's crazy. I personally did not know who she was. Prior to this album, she only had a few other singles, which are actually really good, and I think you should definitely check them out. This album was definitely the really big high point for her, and definitely the big high point in her career, because this album just hit the charts. It was all over Tumblr for a good month in August, and it took me a little while to actually listen to it after seeing it on Tumblr for around a month, but in September, me and my best friend started listening to her, and we both just fell in love with her. We fell in love with this album specifically. It's such a beautiful album to listen to, and when you listen to all the songs in order, it takes you on this roller coaster of emotions, and it's not an easy album to listen to. Unlike the others that I've mentioned today, it's very deep, and each song has a lot of really cool like nuances to it. And I feel like if you just kind of like half listen to it, you miss a lot of the really cool pieces of this album, which is why I really recommend sitting down and really listening to it because it is amazing. I like to listen to this album when I'm in the car. I feel like this would be a really good album to drive to because there's not a lot of like heavy beat drops, though there are some more dancier songs. She just has like this really crystal clear soft voice that is nice, but also like there are really cool synths and really cool sounds in the background that make it like really exciting and really fun. So it's not boring or anything. It's amazing. I don't know, I can't really think of any other album by a female artist I listen to that is like this, which is I think what sparked the interest in her and this album by a lot of people. For those who don't know, she's currently on the Badlands tour, and she will be continuing on this Badlands tour throughout the next year. And I'm actually going to go see her with my best friend, and we're going to see her in New York City in August of 2016, and I'm so excited to see her. I'm really excited that I'm going to be able to see her while she's on the Badlands tour, because this is the album that me and my friend both really fell in love with by her. It's just, oh my god, this album is incredible. She is honestly queen. Like, she's queen. My favorite songs from this album would have to be Castle, New Americana, Gasoline, and Colors. Those songs are all so amazing, and they're all so different from each other. It's like each song is really unique, and I absolutely love it. And my number one top favorite album of 2015, you may have guessed it, American Beauty, American Psycho by Fall Out Boy. This album was released the earliest out of all of the albums that I mentioned today. It was released January 16th, 2015. However, I didn't actually start listening to this album until I think around like May or June, I think. Yeah, definitely around there, the beginning of the summer or like late spring, because that's when I really started to get into Fall Out Boy. I went and saw them while they were on tour for this album, and it was such a fun show I went to over the summer. If you guys want to hear more about that concert, you can watch my concert excitement video. I'll put the link in the down bar. I just feel really lucky that I was able to go see them perform songs from that album that I completely fell in love with. Such a good album. Oh my god, it's amazing. It's definitely my favorite album by them. It's such a jam album. Their other albums were a bit more low-key. Not really Save Rock and Roll. Save Rock and Roll was, for the most part, pretty upbeat. This one is like Save Rock and Roll times 10. Like, every single song is a jam, and it's definitely a dance album. There really is no slow song on this album, which I actually really like because it's honestly just one jam after another. Personally, there is not a bad song on this album, I don't think. And it's, oh my god, it's so amazing. I love listening to this album when I just want to dance around and jam to Fall Out Boy. It's just classic, like, pop-punk, dancey Fall Out Boy songs that I love. Most songs from this album are a bit more on the pop side than the punk side, and I think that's why a lot of them, when they were released as singles, were on the radio a lot. Like, I'm sure all of you guys know Centuries and Uma Thurman. Like, those were the really big ones that were the big singles that everyone loved. But if you guys are really into like pop punk music, I really recommend listening to the entire album. Like the title track, American Beauty, American Psycho, is awesome, such a jam. All the songs on this album are so good, not just Uma Thurman and Centuries. One of my favorite songs on this album that I feel like is really underrated is Twin Skeletons' Hotel in New York City. It's a really good song, like it's so good. I was actually really disappointed because they didn't end up playing this when they were on the tour, and I really wanted to hear it because this is one of my favorite songs on his album, and I was actually surprised that it wasn't more of like a fan favorite than I thought it would be because I think it's such a jam. Like, I totally fell in love with it when I first heard it. Another one of my favorites on this album is 4th of July, which is such a good song. Oh my god, I will jam to this. I jammed to this so much over the summer. I'm pretty sure on the actual 4th of July date, I played this song over and over and over, and like everyone around me was annoyed because I just kept constantly playing this song because it was so good. My last favorite song from this album, like I said, the title track, American Beauty, American Psycho. So good. Just so good. And it's just like, it's a perfect representation of this album in a whole. Oh my god, so awesome. So yeah guys, those are my top 4 favorite albums of 2015. There were a bunch of other albums from 2015 that I like, but these are just my top 4 favorites. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I would love it if you guys would leave me a comment below telling me just one of your favorite albums from 2015. But yeah guys, thank you so much for watching. Please give it a big thumbs up down below, I'd really appreciate it. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!
She's an American beauty.